Welcome, everybody. After lunch crowd. Everybody stand up. Jumping jacks. No, I'm just kidding. Hi, I'm Matt Smith. I'm Executive Director of Business Development Strategy at Comcast Technology Solutions. And we are an organization who provides some services and products to people in the sports arena who are doing live things. And today we're here to talk about leveraging social sites for your sports broadcast. We've got a very good panel here. I think we're going to have some very interesting feedback today. But to give you some context, we're going to cover some of the strategies that these individuals will have and which social network to use at what time and why one may make more sense than another at a given time. It's without a doubt that organizations and schools and leagues are in a place where they have to use social networks today, but it's more than just kind of firing a bazooka into a dark room. We want to find out the whys and those scenarios where they use these different tools. So let's go down the row here. I want to introduce my panelists. First, we've got Andread Jacobi from Make TV. He's the CEO. Please tell us about you and your company.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me here. Make TV is technically spoken, it's a live video router, and we are enabling content creators, content owners to easily, to easily stream live video content simultaneously to multiple platforms. And we enable publishers to get access to all of these contents and to different live video streams from different user groups at the time when it happens. When you and me are standing at the right time at the right location with our mobile phone in the air, sometimes it's relevant as a fan angle during sport events, and in news, it's obvious that this can be very relevant at some point. And in entertainment formats, sometimes used in sports as well, it allows also a really great form of engagement, of viewer engagement, because everybody who's watching the sport event is technically able to dial in with this video pretty quickly. I do not want to go too much in advance directly, but social media is, of course, a great destination for our customers to not just distribute content, to also engage with viewers and use them as marketers at the end as well. Yeah, and thanks for having me here. Looking forward to the discussion today.
Pleasure. Thank you for being here. Next is Khari Jones. He's a senior video producer for live streaming at Stanford University. Welcome. Please tell us about you and what you do.
Sure. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all the my co-panelists here. I work at Stanford Athletics. I've been there for over 11 years now, live streaming on numerous platforms. As you know, now social media has been one of the biggest platforms in the sense of now what we're delivering content towards. But yeah, we have 36 sports, and we currently live stream 25 of them. So as you imagine, last year we did over 142 live streams, and that's not including press conferences, panels, and other random events that a lot of our student athletes host. So it's been a great journey in this whole live streaming space, and I'm excited to talk today with my other panelists here about live streaming and social media.
Thanks, Khari. Next, Liberty White is here. She's the creative director and video marketing strategist for CHOZEN Media. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon. I run a video marketing agency, and we essentially support marketing teams or PR firms that don't necessarily have the capabilities in-house. And so we come in, whether it be the social strategy or helping them to figure out the best live stream solutions. And one of the big projects we got to work on last year was the Celebration Bowl, which is a historically black college competition that happens at the end of the year. And it was in the new Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta. So here to talk about some of the strategies that we used for that. So looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Mark Krug. He's Director of Business Development and Partnerships from BlueFlame Technology.
Thank you. Very excited to be here today. BlueFlame Technology is unique in the video streaming space within collegiate athletics. We service an end-to-end product. We give our clients the ability to produce content through a production truck software program that can then distribute content to web, mobile apps as well as OTT apps that are specifically branded for a college conference or a specific college. We currently work with over 600 colleges across the country, primarily mid-major Division I all the way down to NAIA and junior colleges. So we have some specific tools within our platform that really help leverage the social engagement tools that colleges are really looking for when it comes to video.
Great, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Khari, I want to start with you because we had a conversation just a night or so ago about this, and I thought it was pretty interesting feedback you had. So when you're talking about a day in your life, we're not thinking about just that Saturday football game. There could be a variety of things that, you know, maybe the person in the audience or someone watching this video doesn't think about. Walk us through an average week of yours. Like you had a particularly crazy one of maybe last week you told me about?
Yeah, so the past 2 weeks at Stanford, we have that gap where we have our fall sports concluding and then the beginning of our winter sports. And so at Stanford, we have in the fall sports, we have field hockey, we have football, we have women's volleyball, men and women's soccer. And fortunately, the teams have performed pretty well during the season. So we actually, national championships are crazy. But we host a lot of NCAA events. And so mind you, this past week 2 weeks ago, we had the America East Conference for field hockey, which we streamed to America East TV in partnership with Stretch Internet, which actually wasn't necessarily a Pac-12 player because it's actual, it's through the America East. We're hosting that tournament. It's on campus. And so we hosted that. And then we also had men and women's soccer, which we both broadcast out as well. And then that's not including football press conferences that we have to prep for, plus our football games that we're hosting. This week is actually big game week, so I was able to sneak out for a few days in preparation for Saturday. But yeah, and then we also broadcasted men and women's basketball. Luckily the Pac-12 network linear doesn't pick that up, so we broadcast the men's exhibition game, and then we also broadcast the first 2 women's basketball games to the Pac-12 player. So
a lot going on. So then take us through what role social plays there. So you've got all that broadcast stuff that's a heck of a job by itself.
Right.
But talk us through how what are you doing with Twitter? What are you doing with YouTube? What are you doing with Facebook? What does that look like?
Got it. Yeah. So the lead up to all these events, our SIDs, they do a big part of actually promoting the event. So for example, for football with social, we like to leverage Facebook for our press conferences for football. So we do that every Tuesday from 11:30 to 1, where we have Coach Shaw comes in and speaks to media, and then also we have 2 athletes that come in as well. And then for other things that we do live around social media, we have everything from things that we'll do on Twitter with infographics that our creative team develops. They run that aspect of the actual social platform. But yeah, we kind of get creative and think of opportunities of what we can also deliver, assets we can deliver on social media.
So for any of you, whether you're consulting or you're providing the technology, what's the feedback like from the schools? Are the tool sets themselves for these different social networks, do they suffice for these video workflows, or are you providing specific tools that hook into that and make it even easier for people to publish from one piece of glass? Mark?
Well, at least from our perspective, we provide the client the ability to, if they want to stream their content directly to Facebook or to other social networks, we have that ability within our platform, within Production Truck. But what we've been able to maybe show a lot of our clients lately is that depending upon what their goals are, impressions or engagement. Impressions typically, it can be very impressive. But as far as viewership, what we see is that viewership, if you're going directly to Facebook, for example, it maxes out probably at 90 seconds. But if you're on a native platform that we have built for one of our clients, it's more like 50 minutes. So it depends on what their goals are. The instant replay capture tool that we have within Production Truck allows you to post those highlights directly to your social accounts, and that really is the engagement piece that our clients want to further their brand, highlight their student athletes and their teams. So we kind of see more of the approach of posting more consumable content, which are the highlights, rather than just broadcasting the event in and of itself.
Yeah.
Liberty, what about you?
Yeah.
Go
We
ahead.
look at that as, we call it snackable content. So where you put it in the hands of the consumers, the audience, and they are sharing it. Because to Andreas's point, they become your marketing tool, your outlet, because then they're sharing it and they're commenting as well. So the community management is also a really big piece for our clients.
Is there one that's better than another in terms of that, Andreas? When you're enabling your customers to syndicate that content, if you will, is there one platform that seems to resonate better with others with regard to sports or entertainment, or are they all equally the same? Is it you just have to put it out there everywhere?
So we work with all of them, so I love all of them. And of course, they have maybe their strengths and weaknesses. Hard for me to tell that. I know that our customers are judging them totally different. For esports, there are platforms who are stronger, and it seems to be that there are also some technical reasons, not just viewer behavior, why these platforms are leading in different segments, in specific segments. So it's hard to answer, but it's a very great battle, and we see lots of interesting activities. So on all of this, Mixer, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube. It's great that all of them exist because that pushes them, I think. And they're making good progress on quality, on sellability. From the viewer behavior, yes, snackable content is, it's a no-brainer that this is like made for social media, but we see more and more longer-term duration or like viewership on long-form content as well. Especially esport is crazy. Yeah, also average viewer time there is sometimes 4 to 6 hours, depends on the final, depends on the league and the game, and this is of course all on social media.
Yeah, I think with our group too, it's a little bit like how Andrew was saying, like our audience, especially in the college space, the sports space is different. Like our audience on Facebook is totally different than what our audience is actually on Instagram. So the kind of content and the assets we build and deliver to certain platforms is totally different, especially in the messaging, because a lot of our recruits, especially with coaches' eyes, that's what's most important. How the recruits are seeing their brand represented or their teams represented on social media. So we'll deliver and design content a little bit different for Instagram than what we would do for Facebook and other platforms.
Mark, you touched on this a second ago with regard to the viewing time, but I want to ask the panel, as recently as, I'd say 12 months ago, I had heard from media entertainment customers of mine that I'm sitting with and visiting with that social is a tool to get that snackable content out there and pull them into my Roku channel, my app, my.com. With sports, it occurs to me that that might be a little bit different. Khari, you just touched on that. So for the panel, are you enabling your customers to pull those people into owned and operated sites, or is the social network and the social platform just as important?
So I picked that topic because that's really our core promise.
Sure.
To get access to everything which is live. So, which means something is going on Facebook Live, and our customer is able to search based on hashtags, to browse, curate, qualify all of these contents, and if the content is tagged as public content, our customer has the right to directly use this content, especially if the customer is the owner of the content rights. So US Open, Fox owned it, right? So they were allowed to just use everything which was published with the tag US Open in that specific geo area. Was interesting for us as well to learn that from the right perspective, but it's of course then very, very powerful for publishers, to use all of these contents for their broadcast and to extend the viewership on their channels just a few minutes before and after the game. That's real money for them, right?
Sure.
So,
Panelists?
Yeah, so for our clients, they want to stay social. They want to stay there Possibly some might be budgetary constraints, so then they can just use, Facebook's bandwidth or Twitter's bandwidth. But it's also, to Khari's point, is the messaging, because they're trying to get out and bring other people to fill seats, not necessarily just getting them to their website, because how many people are really going to websites anymore? That they are looking for either engagement online in the community or getting them actually to fill seats in the stadium.
And what Liberty said too, like with us, it's like one of those things too where last year we had 15 events that we broadcasted directly to Facebook, like live events, through the Pac-12 Plus program. The Pac-12 has networks as an initiative they have. But if we are going to promote any of our live streams, it's mostly like, hey, if we're doing it on a women's soccer page, we're going to say, we'll embed the link on Facebook, and then they can redirect them to the Pac-12's website.
Are there trade-offs there? So are your customers giving things in exchange for that functionality, that usability, like metrics or revenue, like ad sharing? I mean, is that a reasonable consideration that you hear from them?
I think down the road we're going to be seeing more of that. We have tools within Production Truck that will allow you to post those highlights to either Facebook or Twitter and have a bumper on them should they sell that to an advertiser or something like that. So it really puts the ability for the client to be able to maximize that sponsorship value. But going back to the previous question on, for a lot of our clients, when we build a digital network that spans mobile, web, and OTT for, like the Great Lakes Valley Conference, which is a Division II conference in the Midwest, they will really want to build up the brand of that network. And so they use a lot of our tools to feature the network on the social sites and then pull people into their native apps. And we're seeing the native app use extremely go up in the last 2 years, where it was mostly web-based viewing. A lot of our native apps are up to the 20-30% of usage now.
Okay. I'm sure some of you have seen it. If not, I'm sure people in the audience have seen the fact that now we can watch sports on these massive destinations. So Amazon's got Thursday Night Football. What does that mean for the future of social sports and these tentpole destinations? Are we going to see more and more college sports, no matter what the conference is or who it might be, putting an entire game on Twitter or on Facebook? Do we think things are going that way? Or I'm sorry, I'm dating myself. Instagram, gotta gram it, man. Is that where we're going?
Sure. I mean, I can see it. Like I said, I think it's going to be, in my opinion, I think it's going to be another option for the consumers. So, I mean, if you're, traveling down here to Huntington Beach, and you only have access to mobile, or your laptop, that might be your only option of viewing that game. So I just think that the viewer experience is in the sense of where you're gonna, where the content's delivered to is gonna kind of vary and change. So I can see it happening.
And then analytics is really important as well. Like, you're not blindly saying that we're only going to be on this platform or where else. You want to be where your audience is. So if through testing that you see that, yes, it's on Amazon, or Twitter's been making a huge play with sports of lately, over the last year or so, that just looking where your audience is and then making those adjustments, because it's not zero sum, it's where you can get the mass reach and consumption and really serve your audience base.
I think it's a game changer for sports that maybe have been under the radar. So your lower Division I to Division II, when it comes to the college spectrum, to have your brand on the homepage right next to the MLB Network or watch ESPN is a very powerful thing that 5, 6, 7 years ago was not available to them. So for them to be able to produce their own content and have it featured in the same way that ESPN has their app on those platforms, I think is a big thing that more and more of those organizations are going to turn to.
Khari, you touched on this just a minute ago, and Andreas, you just a bit before that. The notion of watching content wherever you are, whenever you want it, is important. It's an idea we've heard resonate today in every session, in every track. But we talked earlier when we met before lunch about rights and restrictions and blackouts, and I think in general, we're seeing less of that rights holders are realizing, I've got to get to my audience wherever they are on whatever device that they want to be on. But I think that's still a reality. So we talked about not being able to reach those viewers. So please offer your opinions on where we are with that, where we need to go with it. Are we there yet?
Technology-wise, I would say it's done, it's solved. It's easy, it doesn't cost money, not a lot, yeah, to publish simultaneously on multiple platforms. This is not a big deal, also from the UI perspective. I think content owners and creators realize that as well. So luckily, lots of great contents are already available on multiple platforms, because from a consumer perspective, I appreciate that. I can't explain why I have different preferences for different segments and genres on different platforms, but it's the case. Yeah, I watch esports on one platform, and if I'm watching like music concerts, that's for sure a different platform. And that's my personal behavior. And I'm sure that others are doing this totally different. But however, so that's why I appreciate that if publishers are distributing on multiple platforms. But as long as all these platforms are fighting really against each other, there's of course a big reason for a content holder owner to sell exclusive rights if he gets more money with one deal than with all advertising revenues on multiple platforms, right? So, and this is right now the case. Right now it's really a battle, and in that battle is lots of money for exclusive rights. And that's why we as a consumer, we have to live with that NFL is now on where? Amazon? Yeah, sometimes Counter-Strike Final was just on one platform, now it's moved to another. Right, money versus reach. If you want to, as a publisher, if you want to reach the maximum amount of people, you go multi-platform, that's clear. If money is the biggest argument for you, or the biggest reason, then right now go for an exclusive deal, because especially the hot genres, hot segments, the platforms are paying more than they can make with that content.
Yeah, I think, and to
Sorry,
add a little more. No, to add a little more spice to that spaghetti there, or the meat sauce anyway. I think there's a bit of a gauntlet that viewers have to navigate when they go to watch sports content on social, or even in the Stanford app, for example. Where is it? Do I know? Is it on Twitter? Can I watch it on Instagram? Do I have to go back to the Stanford app? Right. Like, where is it? I mean, the same could be said about entertainment content too, because if you're a Comcast subscriber, can you watch it in the Xfinity app? Sure you can. Or maybe not, right? If it's Bundesliga soccer, maybe it's in, someone else's app because of the rights that you pointed out. That's what I'm getting at is where are we and where, like, what needs to happen? Where are we going?
Yeah, I think from our standpoint, like our communications department, they do a great job of like notifying our fans, our community, through social channels. But when it comes to delivering actually our live streams, in the sense of if we're going to be directly on Facebook's platform, or if we're going to go on the Pac-12 site, that's always communicated. But from the lens of our audience, I mean, I think sometimes having that, whether it be the blockage or not having the ability to get access to the content, sometimes is a hurdle. But when we do live stream our events, it's pretty open. So recently we had, like I was mentioning, we had the America East Conference, a tournament for field hockey, and a lot of our athletes, Stanford's a global brand, so a lot of our athletes are from all parts of the world. And we had a couple parents that came up who were from London, just to thank our live stream group for actually producing these shows this season, because they were able to get access to the content and watch their daughters play. So I think from our standpoint, we would love to continue to stream, open, and so people can watch it, because at the end of the day, we love to showcase, the student athletes to their friends, family back at home who can't attend the event.
And you're banging the drum to make sure that they know where to find it.
Exactly. Yeah. And our communications department, the SIDs for each sport, they do a great job of, whether it's posted on their website or posted through social channels to kind of direct them to where the feed will be shown.
Right. Liberty, did you have an opinion?
Yeah, well, just that to Khari's point is, you've got to work in tandem. It's just not just the technical side of things, but making sure that for the Celebration Bowl, it was having PR. And yes, there were certain things that we couldn't broadcast because it's an ESPN property. So live streaming the press conferences and just making sure that from a social standpoint that you're getting all of that messaging out to your audience. Because people are used to now, when you're watching, you've got your TV on, you've got your laptop open to something that's like, we're used to this multi-channel communication. So there isn't, I don't foresee there being much difficulty in having people to switch. It's just a matter of the communication.
Yeah. Mark, what about your customers, the leagues and the teams? How are they getting that word out?
I think through their normal social channels and their PR efforts. I think with our client base, for the most part, there really isn't a lot of hurdles until postseason. And the NCAA has a lot of restrictions on when you host a tournament. Certain things have to be a certain way, and rights may be going to ESPN or CBS or something like that. But they're still dependent upon the host school to be doing a lot of the content creation or the producing of that event. But I hope that we can get to a point where maybe this industry starts driving the message that more access is going to be better long term for their bottom line. Because if you can open up, if you're a fan of the Colorado Rockies, but you don't necessarily have MLB puts restrictions on who can watch that through the MLB app. If we can get to a point where that's more of an open access but for pay, I think we can get to a point where their dollar revenue is actually going to increase as well as the viewership's going to increase too. But I think it's going to take, leaders within the streaming and the television side or the tech side to drive that, because the old model, it just kind of sticks there for that.
I think what Mark's saying too, it's almost like with us on our 36 sports, if you give each sport, an opportunity to create its own content calendar, so whether it be you're doing, they're doing videos on demand, they're doing live streaming, and then you host it on the site like Facebook or Twitch if you're going really young, or even like Instagram. I think it's just really an opportunity for, from our eyes, the teams to really have their own direct platform, which I think social media was invented for.
Because ultimately, the talent, they're the influencers. That's a word we probably haven't really thrown out yet, but that's a part of influencer marketing, right? They're helping to drive viewers and the engagement, and ultimately the bottom dollar as well.
Okay, everyone wants to come to these conferences and walk away with some sort of data. So I'm not going to ask any of you to reveal anything that would get you implicated. That sounds awfully governmental, doesn't it? But if you can, and again, let's not play favorites here, but if you could share with the audience some insights into, do some of your customers or your teams or your leagues watch longer on YouTube or Facebook, and they prefer shorter type of content on Twitter? Is there any information we can share with the audience here in terms of how you're seeing usage across, again, teams, leagues, however that breaks out for you? Softball.
I'll take that first. We've been working with the National Junior College Athletic Association on their digital network, and when we launched this highlight feature where you can post the highlights in near real time to Twitter and to Facebook, we basically single-handedly helped them grow triple their following on those social platforms. So like I said before, when it comes to impressions versus engagement, we've really seen that if you can get those highlights of the event to those fan bases, and it could really, it's powerful for their brand, because you never know on any given night. We had a Division II World Series this past spring. It was an off night for the NBA Finals. Kid hits a 2-run home run bottom of the ninth, and the thing went viral and was huge for the association as well as that specific institution. So that's where we kind of see our most success right now.
So for us, we've seen the success on Facebook. So we'll use Instagram as a tool to drive them. So we'll put in real time some highlights, push that to Facebook. Twitter, when we stream live, there's kind of like a drop off after a few minutes. However, the engagement point of retweets and sharing, we see a high volume there.
Yeah, I've not for this panel, but I've said before that there's the average teenage boy today, most of them may not watch SportsCenter because they don't have a need to. They can get it from these social feeds and from the teams that they follow. Khari?
Yeah, well, with our group, it varies, you know, I think depending on which sport and really which event, you know, so I think, you know, obviously we tend to lean a little bit more on Facebook, but then we also share a lot of information on Twitter. So I think, you know, honestly, it really varies between sport to sport. Obviously, I think with football, we get the most traction, but yeah, all in all, I think it kind of really does vary up and down.
Field hockey does okay too?
Oh, they actually, believe it or not, field hockey does great, just because, you know, they traditionally never had, you know, that another platform for linear. So it's another way for like their fan base and alum and community to kind of really engage with one another. So that's really, like I said, that's the power of social media, is like giving sports like field hockey and water polo, who don't really get picked up that much on linear television, an outlet. So.
Yeah, no offense to the rest of the panelists, but I think that's the point of the panel here, is that these platforms are giving athletes and sports the ability to be seen in places that they couldn't before because of, you know, a broadcast. You're not going to set up 3 cameras and maybe shoot a field hockey game and put it on ESPN. It just generally doesn't happen. Andreas?
Do you have some facts you want to share?
I'll wait. I have a follow-up on this. But when we do questions, you have to talk in the mic so they can hear. Can I?
Sure. You can. I had one last question from them, but you go.
Well, it's following up. When you guys talked about your platforms, how does the push notification factor into that from like Facebook compared to YouTube? Because I know they don't do a push.
I think with us, especially, I think it works very well for our press conferences, especially post-game. So, you know, for most fans, right, when you're leaving a game, you're probably sitting in your car in traffic, and we're not promoting this by any means, but the passenger can probably get the push alert on their phone and pull up the press conference, right? And they can watch it, so it's another different way to engage with the game while you're sitting in traffic. So we've learned that, you know, I'm assuming that people, the passenger, will pull it up on their phone.
You guys will have to explain to me what that is. I have a Motorola StarTAC. Thank you for the 4 of you who got that. Anyone else? All right, last question before questions, and this is the softball pitch, and you're all going to look at me and roll your eyes. Where are we going to be with this scenario in 2 years? Will social networks play a bigger role? Are we going to be in the same place? Is it just this self-fulfilling thing? Is it good where it is now? Opinions?
I think.
So, go ahead.
I think we'll be in the same place because we see Twitter and Facebook, and maybe we might see a new platform come out. I don't know about that, but they are heavily investing in sports. Like, they're getting rights, and we'll see, if anything, even more globalization is what I see coming down the pipeline.
I think you're going to see a lot more live content that is not around the events, but the creativity aspect of it's going to grow again. Like, you know, everyone knows you can, you know, deliver, you know, live, you know, basketball games, tennis games, you name it, to the platform. But I think as the tools for live streaming kind of grow and enhance, you're going to start seeing more and more creativity in a sense of what people are actually live streaming to Facebook or to Twitch or to Instagram. And so, yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of excited about, is just seeing how producers and brands get creative on what they deliver live to change the whole experience around social media.
Andreas?
Yeah, I did not share facts, so I'll try to combine the questions. Most of our customers, especially in esports, and the biggest ones like ESL, they have 600 hours of content every day, which they're streaming to multiple platforms. And always when they go exclusive and not multi-platform, they're losing viewership, and a massive amount of viewership, which is interesting because especially that target group, that audience, is obviously, it's able to click on a link. That's definitely not the problem, and I can't explain why it is the fact, but it's data, yeah, it's fact. The second fact for ESL, and I'm allowed, luckily, to share all these performance data from them, after they started to use alt on-demand content to schedule it back, into linear live channels on social media platforms, they were able to increase the advertising revenue based on that clip of more than 50%. And that's a very, very interesting situation because the same content is as VOD or library content on other platforms not interesting at all. But on social media platforms, the behavior of the users, they are chatting, they are talking about that content, it brings this all content in a live context. And the live context is I can talk with my buddies about the Counter-Strike final 2 years ago.
Yep.
And it's very, very interesting, for me at first, and that's a fact. And the third one, and this is hopefully the way, we as a vendor, we would benefit from them, so that's why we hope it, that social media is more and more seen as the first touch point with the viewership and the audience, and not what is often the situation. There was somebody who invented the word second screen experience, yeah, and this person put the whole industry on the wrong direction. I would say it was never the second screen. And our customers who are using the contacts with people on social media to not just engage them, to incentivize them to participate, yeah, which is the best form of engagement. They are successful. They are also successful with formats where they're using social to drive TV formats. Yeah, we have Viacom, one customer in the entertainment world. They're doing dance shows, and people are able to stream themselves dancing in front of the TV. Right, so they see a music clip and they're dancing live, and then an operator browsing, qualifying, discovering, and putting some of these dancers back as overlays on TV. And these people are going crazy when they see themselves live. So that's a great example how to use social to not just distribute old content, yeah, to engage with kind of an invitation to participate, and then to use this content for let's say bigger TV formats. And of course the people who are used, yeah, they are the best marketers and are sharing and going crazy and
But
so
that
forth.
dancing only happens in Kentucky, right?
There was in Australia. And that's what we would love to see more, that broadcasters are using this audience and these platforms to get fresh, relevant content for their main programs in different segments.
Yeah, sophistication and engagement, definitely.
Anyone else?
I think it's going to continue to be hard to cut through a lot of the noise that happens every single day on the social networks. I mean, all of us are guilty of just, scrolling, right? And so I think as far as a specific college or a organization that wants to stand out and have their brand elevated, it's going to take some very strategic thinking on how to use a lot of this technology, but yet not get lost in the scroll. Right, and be able to stand out and first and foremost take care of their main engagement fans they're going to be there for them.
It's the attention economy. Okay, audience, any questions for these knowledgeable people? Wow, we did a good job, especially in Kentucky. Yes.
Concern on the part of the franchises, the conferences, whoever, about a negative impact on live attendance based on the proliferation of live distribution across all channels?
Okay, for the camera, the question is there any concern by the conferences or the sports entities about a decrease in live viewing in person based on the social viewing of the content? Anyone?
So I don't have the statistic for that, but even like in conferences, when we help agencies with their conferences, there's always that concern, but people are they want that. If they want to come to the game, they're going to come to the game because there's a different experience. So that's something that we've seen over the years people be concerned about, but if you'll notice, even more conferences are either creating like a paywall, where then, you'll force whatever limited access to see the conference if you're unable to make it, but people are going to make that investment. So there's been a shift in thinking on that. And I'll look for the stat and post it in the app.
To kind of go off what Liberty said, like, nothing compares to going to a live event. I mean, yeah, the second screen or the screen you watch on your phone are however you want to watch on your laptop, does not compare to the energy you feel when you're in a stadium and amongst other fans. So, I mean, that topic has come up as well with us, but I think for the most part, I think we kind of complement the event itself. So,
Mark?
Yeah, I think that has been around for a long time, even before streaming came in. I mean, the Division I football conferences at one point in time were very against every single game each weekend being broadcast because they thought it was going to hurt attendance. So I think we're always going to have to fight.
The opposite was the case.
Correct.
The opposite was
Yeah.
the case. Not just that it has no impact, the opposite
Yeah.
it was more relevance. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
more attractive to attend an event which is more relevant. So,
Yeah.
that's the data.
I think that's always going to be there, and I think it's just on us to show that maybe there's a sliver of that audience that could impact, but you gain so much by still streaming and marketing your program this way.
Anyone else? Going once. Going
Brian,
twice.
come on, you have always a question. At
Well-
least one, right?
Who's in the audience? That might even help us.
Huh?
Want to go
No.
row by row?
Well, no, not necessarily row by row, but are there marketers? Is it more
So
technical?
Brian has a question for us.
Okay.
So what did Twitter and Periscope do wrong? What did Twitter and Periscope do wrong?
What did Periscope and Twitter do
If
wrong?
you look at live streaming, Facebook Live is real and big. Twitch got acquired by Amazon, has to deal with the NFL. People are talking about it. Instagram, people are talking about it. So, and YouTube is still big and doing great stuff. But Twitter, which is live, it has a live streaming platform, and then Bot and Periscope, which is live and a live streaming platform, they're nowhere to be found. I actually have data to prove this out, but just take it for granted, right?
Yeah.
Twitter and Periscope, they've lost out on this whole live video thing. So
It's a
what
good
did
question
Twitch-
for you, right?
what did
Are you
Twitch
streaming
get right?
Are you streaming on Periscope?
no. I mean, we've experimented with Periscope and Twitter, but we've always just kind of gone to Facebook. Yeah, I really can't speak too much. It wasn't necessarily anything negative about the experience using Twitter and Periscope, but we just got better engagement with Facebook.
Just lost.
Yeah. I don't think it was that Twitter did something wrong.
Yeah.
It's that Facebook had mass.
Yeah.
So in them having the audience, that as soon as they rolled out live, okay, as a marketer, that's a no-brainer because I don't have to go fighting for eyeballs and bringing people in. They're already there.
So is Facebook Live and Twitter's VOD? So it's on demand, it's those clips that are shared that have already happened?
I would say that from the very beginning, Twitter built itself as short and consumable. So 140 characters and I move on. Now you're asking me to sit there and watch something for 30 minutes. I think just the nature of how it lended itself to the consumer from the very beginning dictated the behavior in the end. That's my guess on that.
Do you think analytics has anything to do with that too? Because Facebook provides has a much more robust analytics platform where you can target your audiences, define them even better. You really can't do that within the Periscope and Twitter environment so much. It's much more robust on Facebook. Would that make a difference? You think?
So are the analytics better on Facebook versus Twitter?
We have a great digital lead, a digital team that really breaks down the analytics of both. I would definitely defer that to him. But my assumption is he leads us to Facebook every single time, and I know he knows his stuff. He's one of the best in the biz. So, yeah.
Time for one last question.
So two-part question for you guys. First part of the question is, how is 360 2D and then what we'll call 360 or immersive VR kind of, giving you impact on your roadmaps for the future? And the second part of the question is, do you give thought to the fact that now every state has now been legalized for gambling and sports betting, driving even more folks to watch high school, college, because you can be handicapping and you can be betting. Think about how that impacts your strategies for the future. So, kind of two-part question, 360 2D VR and gambling.
touch the 360 one. I can't touch the gambling one though. But
You just can't get caught.
no, that's not. I don't even go down that road. But yeah, the 360 is interesting. We experimented with 360 a couple years ago, and I think it's still pretty cool. I think it definitely has a lot of room for growth. You know, I just think, like I said, the cool thing about 360, especially live 360, is it's a whole new world, you know, and you're able to really get creative again. I just think the ability of thinking of what your inventory is going to look like, right, and what your content schedule is going to look like. And if you're looking at from a sport like football, right, I mean, we've done some stuff on the educational side of things, and then we've also done some stuff, you know, testing around like the live event side too. So,
Camera angles are tough at sports, though.
It is, but the thing about it is you're shooting in a different kind of way, right? You're shooting it from a lens of like a viewer, you know? So you're not necessarily trying to get in super close and all that kind of stuff. It's like, well, let's look creative and let's say, hey, maybe they'll one day let us put a 360 camera on a helmet of a quarterback, right? And so we can get the angle from what he was looking at as he's developing the play. Or let's see what it looks like from like a fan's perspective, and let's sit at the 50-yard line, you know, 5 rows up, and then get that sort of lens. So I think there's so many different, you know, creative opportunities you can get with 360, but it's about just kind of really testing those out and seeing what's ready for the market.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're at time. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, audience. Hope you have a good rest of the day here at Streamin West.
Thank you.